Okay, if you're serious about turning your passion for writing into a career, then it's time to change the brain to change the game. That's right. There are two brains that an author needs in this industry: the artist brain and the business brain. The secret is to change the brain to change the game by thinking like an entrepreneur when the time is right. Too soon, and your art suffers. Too late, and your business suffers. Never switching from artist brain to business brain, and the journey of the author's career begins and ends with a book. But Thomas, what does it look like to treat my career like a business? Well, today, turning your writing passion into a career, how to balance creativity and business. That's what we're going to go over today. I'm going to go over how to change the brain to change the literal game and give you some insight on what you should be doing to treat your career like a business. Because for many writers, switching between artist brain and the business brain can feel like juggling two completely different mindsets. The creative side thrives on freedom and expression, while the business side requires strategy, planning, and often a fair amount of pragmatism. Now, it's challenging because each brain has its own priorities. One wants to focus on storytelling, while the other needs to think about marketing, sales, and networking. So, learning to switch between them can transform writing from a personal passion into a sustainable career. Embracing both sides lets you maintain creative integrity while also setting yourself up for long term success. So let's get into it. Honest brain versus business brain. For many writers, the creative process is the exciting part. And I get it. I've been there. I'm that person. I wish I could just write my books and someone else takes care of the business stuff, right? Oh man, when am I going to get to the point where I could just write my stuff and then other people they deal with stuff I don't want to deal with and I could just write. But that's not the case. That's not how it works, right? So if you want to make a career out of writing, you need to think of your work as a product and yourself as a CEO of your author brand. Now, just because I said the word product doesn't mean that it doesn't have the integrity of your artistic vision. The artist brain maintains the art, the business sells the art. But that doesn't mean the art must learn how to create something that is sellable. Because the reality is, haven't you ever read a book, watched a movie, or listened to a song and said, "How the hell did this get made?" And the reality is, they were they even great writing can be terrible, especially if it's not marketed correctly. So, more importantly, you need to take action and complete certain tasks to develop your business and its brand. Now, one helpful tip before we really get into it is when it comes to creativity and business, never let the two brains play together. When you're writing, let your artist brain have all the fun. Right? When you're talking about your novel, let your artist brain speak passionately about the story. When it comes to the creative part of it, your business brain has no right to be a part of the conversation. However, this goes both ways. When the book is finished, you're doing anything to marketing or you're dealing with contracts, the artist brain should stay away. Let me repeat that. When the book is finished, when you're doing anything that has to do with marketing, when you're dealing with contracts, shut the artist brain off and let the business brain step forward. Let the business brain think for your business. Artists, be creative, let it do its thing. Do not think about the business. But when you're doing business, shut off your emotional connection to the book and think like a business. Now, the hesitation. The hesitant artist brain. Many writers feel hesitant to adopt the business mindset because it can seem at odds with the creative process. The idea of reviewing their work as a product might feel impersonal or even intimidating. Yet, the shift in perspective is key to overcoming that discomfort. By seeing your book as a product, you start to realize the importance of reaching the audience, creating demand, and building a brand around your unique voice. This doesn't mean compromising on creativity. It means valuing your work enough to share it widely. Embracing this approach enables you to develop a thriving career while staying true to your art. Ultimately, what that means, if I'm going to break it down to layman's term, is when you're creating your art and it's true to your voice, meaning like you're not writing it to be like, well, how do I write something that sells? right? Because now you're not writing creatively for yourself or allowing it to stand on its own and develop your voice as a writer. You're going, well, people like when there's average height characters, so everybody's 5'7", 5'8", 5'9". People like you know, people love this trope, friends to enemies, I mean, friends to lovers, whatever, or enemies to lovers. I'm gonna just everybody. That's the 3 different romances like that in the same book, right? You're not thinking creative. You're not allowing what it is you're trying to say through your voice, through your authorship. Allow that to happen. But once you're done with that book, your business brain has to say, well, what is my brand as an author, and how do I market that? How do I get pressed? How do I create relationships? How do I get out there into the audience? How do I set up book signings, etc., etc.? The artist brain doesn't have to be a part of that. Okay. So let's do the walkthrough of what that means to treat your brain like a business brain. So the triangle of life, okay? Now, over my career, I've had mentors basically guide me, okay, teach me and help me develop my career in entertainment, from the comic book industry to music, acting, and of course, writing. The following information is everything I've learned shrunk down into a list of things a person should do to treat their life like a business. And I call the system the triangle of life. Okay. A triangle is one of the strongest designs in the world. They resist deformation. I'll start that over. A triangle is one of the strongest designs in the world because they resist deforming under stress, right? Their 3 sides form a closed loop, increasing stability and prevents the structure from collapsing or twisting under pressure. When a force is applied to a triangle, it is distributed evenly among its sides. This prevents the concentration of stress in a single point, which could lead to failure. And this is why I call it the triangle of life, because each side needs to work along with the other sides, hoping to reinforce the shape of the triangle itself, which is you, the business. Thomas, how many sides are there? Well, there are 5 sides. Now you might think, Thomas, there are only 3 sides. And then I go, yes, but if you look at a triangle, there's also the front and back. And you go, oh, you got me. You got me. But what are they? Let's do it. Boop, boop. What are the sides, bro? Well, let's get into it. You could write these down, by the way, as we do it. But after this video has been aired, there will be a sheet for availability for you, the people out there. All right. The first side is known as the 3 needs of success. All right, and this side is known as this side, the 3 needs of success. All right, this is all about relationships. All right. Network, market, practicing. Networking, marketing, and practicing are very important elements of the process. And then you might say, but Thomas, why do I care? And I go, well, networking is, and I'm sure you've heard it, is about who you know. Okay. Marketing is about who knows you. And practicing is about how well you know yourself, right? Let's get into that real quick. The simple version of it is networking is about building and cultivating relationships to establish a strong circle of influence. Now, a circle of influence is not there to influence a career. It's there to influence better, stronger habits, right? Okay. Now, the thing is, you need to network, but the variables are in your hands. So if you're uncomfortable going out to events and hanging out around people, there are other ways to network. There's through your friends, your circles, and also developing relationships through third parties. There's also the internet. There's being a little bit more approachable at conventions, things like that. You have to find ways to build and cultivate relationships. All right. This one of the actionable elements of networking is since networking is who you know. This is about you personally knowing people. It's all about listening and responding to people while creating those relationships. Which brings us to marketing, which is about who knows you. The reason it's who knows you, it's because it's the impression you leave on the people you know. And if they remember you and you leave a good impression, your brand, it allows them to think of you when they have opportunities. And marketing, for anyone who cares, is about designing a brand to build awareness, which creates interest, that will ultimately generate sales, so people emotionally buy into your brand's message. And again, since marketing is who knows you, showcase your value sets and brand's message to leave that strong impression on the people you meet so they remember you and, more importantly, think of you when they want to get you involved in something or refer you to someone else. All right. The more present you are in other people's lives and the more time you put into building and cultivating these relationships, the more they think about you. So building is meeting people, cultivating is putting time into people. And the more time you put into people, the more you're present. So be seen, be present. If people remember your name, it's because you're always there, or at least your name is on their mind, and allows them, like, for example, if you have best friends or close friends and there's an opportunity your friend is good for, you're going to think of them before you think of, I don't know, your 100th friend or your 30th friend or even your 10th friend. You're going to think of the people closest to you. That's just how it works. Which brings us to practicing. How well do you know yourself? Practicing is about taking inventory of your personal strengths and weaknesses so you know where you need to improve and what strengths you can utilize to better help you take action to get involved and make things happen by making things happen. Now, since practice is really how well you know yourself, do what you can to learn what you can do beyond your craft and how you can help others and how the business of your industry works so you can play the game when called up. What this ultimately means is learn what you can do at a table beyond I am a writer, right? Are you good at scheduling? Are you good at putting together events? Are you good at connecting people? Are you good at marketing? Right? These are things and resources you can bring to the tables when joining those tables. These are value sets. These are right. So, or variations of value sets and skills. Right. So if you're around people when you're networking and you're leaving your brand's impression on people and they're like, oh, let's get Thomas J. Bellezza involved, right? And then he goes, oh, whenever they're involved, we know that they are well knowledgeable in this field, or they have a really great access to this idea, or they know some press, right? And that's about knowing your industry as well. So the more you're aware of your industry and how the ins and outs work, it means you can be informative and therefore help guide people around you. And guidance is very important because it's ultimately you want to join tables so you can best lead, follow, and advise. Advise is guidance. All right. So that brings us to the next side, which is known as the 3 needs of longevity. And these are very simple. All right. First one is management. Okay. But it's management of time, money, and the people around you. Entrepreneurial brain is the second element of the 3 needs of longevity. And of course, talent. Now let's go over that a little bit. When I say management of time, money, and people, what I'm talking about is management is about taking back the control over your time, money, and the people you surround yourself with. Time and money are limited and need to be allocated. So you're in control of things instead of things controlling you. What that means, real quick, is if I feel I have to do this or I'm saying yes to too many things, my time is now being drained and I'm being controlled by things. I'm not controlling time. You must learn the value of saying yes and especially no, right? And you need to learn what is worth your time and what is not worth your time. Obviously, uh, uh, with empathy. You don't want to say no to things or yes to things just for selfish gain, but it's if I put my time into this, does it fit within my brand's values, my morals, my missions, my purposes? And those things aren't just I want to make a living in writing. It's if I get involved with this group or these people, or I put my time into this thing, is it elevating certain missions that I believe in somewhat completely or not at all? And you have to think about how do I want to involve myself with these things or these people And does it elevate something that I believe in? Does it elevate educating people? Well, then that's something I want to get involved. Does it elevate just making money off of people? Then I might not want to be involved, because I'm not really in it to basically take money from people. I'm in it to be like, how do we help people? How do we bring people together? Right. So those are my missions. So if other people want to do those things, I'm in it to win it. Right. The other thing is money. So money is a resource as well. So you have to learn to budget and control and organize your money, creating an overhead and creating a budget to spend on that budget. And then ultimately, the people around you is, well, the 5 people you hang out with the most become the people you live. The 5 people you hang out with the most become the world you live in. So it's good to take inventory about the people you're hanging out with. If your goals and dreams and purposes and missions have a very specific thing to them, other than I want to make a living as a writer, they have to be real missions, real purposes, and real morals. If you're around people that don't morally connect with you, that doesn't mean they have to completely be a mirror image of you. It means that they have to have some things in common with the things you believe in, right? And you want to build certain communities around these things, especially if you're proactive or you are very interested in bringing people together, or you're interested in getting events together, or you have a bigger dream than just writing books, but you're like, oh, I want to create a massive community. If you're not hanging out with people that have some of those things in common, it will hold you back. If you're hanging out with people that just want to play video games all day, that's great if you like playing video games. But if you're saying to yourself, well, I want to play video games a little bit less and I want to focus more on maybe getting out there in the field or creating more events, or maybe I want to rent a table at a con, and they're like, no, I don't want to spend on it. I'm buying the next PlayStation. It's $500. It might not be the people to, you can still give time to them, but you have to start organizing your time, managing the time around you. And so ultimately, that's something to think about. More importantly, when it comes to entrepreneurial brain, the entrepreneurial brain is about finding solutions by thinking outside the box in a proactive way. You know, you want to focus on the how to's over the can nots in life, to break down the walls of inaction and be proactive by taking and inspiring initiative. Okay. Entrepreneurial brain finds solutions. They don't have a plan A for one thing and a plan B for a completely another thing. They have a plan A, B, C, three, A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to Z on how to accomplish the thing they're interested in. When I was younger, people said you should have a plan B and go to college for whatever. I wanted to be a therapist, right? And I was like, I don't know. I really want to. My life is art. Like I want to be an artist. I want to be a, I want to be an illustrator originally, and I like stories, but all my teachers said you should find a trade, because when you're in fourth grade, you're supposed to be basically the next Mark Twain, and if you're not, you might as well discover a trade. Anyway, so I decided very early on, I go, that doesn't make sense to divide my time. And I was like, well, I want to be very much in the entertainment industry. I definitely want to be in the crafts and arts and creative field. So how do I do that? And what are my options? And that's what my plan B was, and my plan C and my plan D. So I tried things, and it was always to get there. But I did know if something didn't work, I had to use my entrepreneurial brain to find solutions by thinking outside the box to find another way there. And as I got older and I got more mentors, they helped me realize my potential in certain areas. And it was less about my music is really great, or my art is really great, or my writing is really great. It was less about that and was more about, well, if people don't know you, especially the shakers and makers and the gatekeepers, then no one's going to take a risk on you. So they got to get to know you, trust you, like you, and now they're willing to listen to you. And finally, for the 3 needs of longevity, you have talent. Now, talent is about your value sets. The value sets that you specifically bring to a table, or the tables you create. So you're either joining a table or you're creating a table, right? And this is a table with a mission, a purpose. And the value sets are how people see your status based on your natural skills or abilities. They include influence, authority, and ability to inspire, and one's mobility. What does that really mean if I break it down? If I'm going to say it quick, influence is basically if you could talk to somebody because you have a strong enough relationship and value with them, and you say, hey, listen, we need some money for this, or hey, so and so, can you hook us up, or hey, we need an interview done, can we make that happen? They go, yeah, sure, of course, anything for you. That's influence. Authority is that you have a sense of direction and people are willing to listen to you because they trust you. You have confidence that's backed up by intellect, that's also backed up by results. And of course, the ability to inspire, that the things you do, people look up to you, not because you want them to, but because you're becoming the world you wish you lived in and they agree with your motives. And of course, mobility is that you have choice. You're not just stuck in one path. You're allowed to do other things. You can go up and down. There are other elements to value sets, but that's ultimately what it is, because talent is what allows you to best lead, follow, and advise. Now, leading does not mean taking over. Leading means taking initiative, inspiring others, and being proactive. Now, following doesn't mean following blindly, but to add value to others and elevate the mission of the group or cause that you're involved in. That's including your own. And advising is never about your ego, but the ability to add additional options for others to choose from and help educate others near you. There we go. Moving on. Third side. We're almost done. 3 needs of purpose. These are very simple. I'm gonna kind of just quickly go over these. This is the financial area. This is the part where like I could literally do 18 videos on this. This is how I get to be a writer all the time. This is why I haven't worked a job, a survival job, since like 2005-ish. It's why I've had a career in the entertainment industry, and it's because I created a financial foundation that has supplied me through this structure, which is security, growth, and dream. These are accounts that I created. You need to create these accounts and organize your money, budget your money, and get your money working for you instead of you working for money, right? So that's, you hear that all the time. How do I create passive income? All this stuff, right? So what I'm not going to go into the exact, because it literally would take me videos and videos. So I'm just going to break down what the accounts are, just so you kind of get an idea of it. Okay, security itself as an account, this money is there to protect you when you reach rock bottom and hit zero money. So if I have money working for me, I have money in my financial foundation account that's affording my overhead, but something happens and I lose all my money and I'm back down to broke. My security account is the account that's going to help me get back on my feet. It's the money that's there for when everything goes south. It's my start over money. And I should always be feeding this and adding money to this. There is a process to that. It's called the 60-40, but the 60-40 split. But that's, again, that's something I'll talk about in another video, I'm sure. But this is your startup money, or start backup money. Basically, if everything goes to crap. Now, growth account is money that's allocated specifically for assets or investing in assets. If you've ever heard the term asset versus liability, liability is something you have to pay to have. That's why a hobby is technically a liability, because you're paying to have the hobby. So model airplanes, or even being a writer, if you're paying to be a writer and you're not creating a business, it technically is a liability. So you have to create a business. That's what this whole thing is about, a business, to create it into an asset, because business is an asset, right? But that, again, that's a whole other video. But growth account allows you to invest in assets and other things. So this is designed to develop wealth, and wealth is defined by the amount of time one can go without having to recoup income. So if I don't have to trade my time for money, I have wealth. If my wealth, like right now, if I did nothing, I have about 4 years to live on. If I did nothing, if I had no money coming in, I could just sit here and just be like, for 4 years, right? So I have a wealth of 4 years. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. But that's why you create the investments, and that's why you create the security, and that's why you create all these other things. Now, dream account is actually something that I had to learn the hard way. The dream account is the reward. It's the wants in life. I want certain things. I want a vacation. I want this. I want a new car. I want that, right? It's play money. Let's go gamble. Let's go to Vegas. The dream money is allocated money outside of your overhead. So spending this money does not influence your affordability, your ability to live and afford your life. So when my dream account reaches certain money, that's when I get to say to myself, now I've earned the vacation, or I've earned, I could gamble, or I can buy a new car. I could buy a toy, the toy I wanted, which is maybe a new microphone or whatever the case is. So you utilize the dream account to reward yourself by setting financial goals that you have to earn through life and work. All right. Next, so this is the fourth side of your triangle, the assets of life. Now, assets generate passive income and eventually should cycle back into your three needs of purpose account. So this gets into the 60-40 thing, but like I said, this is financial stuff. I'm not going to go into the financial stuff right now, because literally I could do a full year. I could do a full year on this side. For now, but what I want to talk about is just your assets. There are 8 of them. There's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, intellectual properties, businesses, real estate, IOUs, which is IO untos, and then you have the commodities, right? So those are all forms of assets. And again, I can really go deeply into it, but I don't want this video to be 1,000 years long. The most important thing is, though, if you invest in these things, especially starting off small, they eventually start creating a return, anything from dividends to long-term indexes. And then eventually, getting to the point where you could take your small investments that have compounded, and then ultimately it turns into real estate, or it turns into owning businesses. And believe it or not, you could have absentee businesses. You can own a laundromat and not work there, but like for me, I had my theater, but I also had my production company, which I still have, and then I have a nonprofit, and then I got my writing business, which is for consulting and other things, right? So those are multiple businesses that run, but you can also purchase businesses that sort of handle themselves and run themselves, right? That's called an absentee owner. So like if you own a gas station, or if you own a stationery store, or if you own like a bakery, but you just don't work there. You just go there and collect the money, right? You have other people handle it. That's an absentee business, and that's an investment. That's a passive income. The IOUs is investing in other people that you believe in, saying, oh, I want to open a business. Well, look, I have enough money in my growth account to give you, say, $20,000 or $100,000 over X amount of years, whatever. Right? You go, I'm going to invest in that. Or maybe you invest in another writer. That's what an IOU is, and then they pay you back with interest and then maybe a percentage on ownership. When it comes to the intellectual properties, these are copyrights, patents, trademarks. You should be owning the copyrights because you write books. So if you own the copyrights, what does that mean? It means you have IPs, intellectual properties, and you can license these IPs out and do exactly what an R.R. Martin is doing, where he has television shows and other things in process. You could sell the license rights to characters, and you sell figurines. This is something that Spawn, right? Todd McFarlane does with the Spawn characters, but he also owns the business that does that because he saw other people doing it, so he created a business. But like HBO did a Spawn series, a cartoon series, and that was a licensing deal. So that's what owning IPs is really about, the copyrights. Okay, all right. And finally, the last side, the fifth side, the most important side, treat your life like a business. So here we go. Treating your life like a business happens when your actions are associated with the other 4 sides. You, as an individual, are a living business, and you should have a budget, a financial foundation account, and organize your life to benefit from the triangle of life. Treating your life like a business, which is budget, financial foundation, organizing your triangle of life, is all about affording your business and your life. It's not about a lifestyle, but about starting small. A business would have a financial foundation account designed to pay for the overhead itself. Beyond your responsibilities of maintaining a strong triangle of life, know the ins and outs of the industry and incorporate or LLC yourself. Definitely incorporate. Now, being a business is so important. It basically means organizing and controlling these sides: the assets of life, 3 needs of purpose, the 3 needs of longevity, and success. Needs of longevity, just for the record. So needs of success is about relationships. Longevity is running your business. That's different than treating your life like a business. This is actually running the business. And then this is money, or I should say wealth. All right. And then this is a system. All right. the system. Okay, so what's the difference? Well, this organizes your wealth and creates a system. So this protects you, invests in you, and rewards you. And then this creates the system that filters back into the purpose. All right, so this generates the passive income, which then gets filtered into security, growth, and dream, which in turn helps develop the wealth and ultimately just becomes a working system. But again, I did not go into great detail with it because I mean we're at 30 minutes already. So, but ultimately, treating your life like a business is learning how to put time into your relationships, time into running your business, time into generating wealth, and making sure your system is working properly. Now, more importantly, I should say this much. You don't have to do everything all the time. It's just that you have to constantly be working on sides of your triangle. If you just a lot of people will give a lot of time to practicing, meaning they'll become really great at their craft because they're focused on their talent, and ultimately they spend money on their dream, right? And they forget about the other sides, and they forget to manage their time. So they're missing deadlines. They're not hanging out with people. They're only hanging out with the wrong people. They're not finding solutions. They're just constantly doing the same thing. And what's the definition of insanity? I don't know, because it's not the same as the dictionary, but people say it's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right? That's the trophy thing, right? So the cliche. But anyway, it's all about maintaining a movement. So every day at some point or another, I am constantly representing my brand, which is marketing. I am always doing research in one way or another, reading things, or, when I'm teaching, sometimes when I have to teach certain things, like if I'm teaching a class or if I'm consulting somebody, I have to do research on that. So I'm always happens to be a part of my process in life in general. So I get to at least incorporate that. I'm always working on relationships. I just got somebody reached out to me just recently who's a relationship, and they're like, we're working on a movie. We'd like you to be involved as a producer. So, like, relationships, that's the purpose of it, right? You're building and cultivating. I have to manage my time. I schedule these videos, right? I do batch recordings. I do 2 to 3 recordings, Wednesday through Sunday, right? I'm always writing. Okay, so I do 1 to 2 hours every day. Every day ish, 7 days a week. Sometimes I take a day or two off, like working out. You got to take a couple of days off. I schedule my meals. I schedule my breaks. I schedule everything. I schedule my management of my social media. Some days are 30 minutes, some days are 60 minutes, whatever the case may be. I give myself a 10-hour day because I love just being involved in my industry and doing what I do. And I map that out. The only thing that breaks my schedule are people. People come first. People always come first. Things can wait, right? Because again, you're in control of your time. Things don't control me. I control them. So my schedule can wait. People cannot. And that's because I would rather put time into people than not. All right. With that said, let's get right to final thoughts. Final thoughts. Okay. All right. The triangle of life approach provides a solid foundation for writers who want to transform their passion into a sustainable career. By focusing on the essential areas, success, longevity, and purpose, you're equipping yourself to handle both the creative and business aspects of being an author. This balanced approach ensures that you're not only honing your craft, but also building a strong network, managing your resources wisely, and investing in your future as a writer. Each side of the triangle, all 5 of them, reinforce the others, creating a resilient structure that can withstand the challenges of the writing industry. So treating writing as both an art and a business is important for long-term success. While the creative side fuels your stories and connects with readers, the business side allows you to share those stories more widely and effectively. By embracing the business mind when appropriate, you ensure that your work reaches its potential, both artistically and commercially. Now, remember, your creativity is your most valuable asset. By nurturing it within a structured framework of what it is you're trying to do, what you're trying to say, what you're trying to create, you allow yourself to be a brand that can be represented through your business endeavors. And therefore, with the triangle of life, you're not just surviving as a writer, you're thriving, you're preparing, you're creating, you're designing a business and treating your life like one. And you're allowing your artist brain to indulge in all the creative elements without the interference of anything else. And then while you are finished that, your business brain should be going, how do I structure my life? How do I create success? How do I maintain longevity to that success? And how do I fuel that success? All right, next video in this series. Marketing you, the author, before the book. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Question. What's one aspect of the writing business you find most challenging? How do you plan to address it in your author journey? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have questions about the triangle life, ask them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. If anyone knows, I do answer all the comments. And then, yeah, if there's a video you want specifically made on any topic of the triangle life, let me know. And maybe I'll make a series called The Triangle of Life. All right. With that said, if you liked what you heard today and you're like, woo, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. Other than that, it's time. Ready? As always, peace and harmony, truth in action, and keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.